Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a completely fascinating ancient mystery that's literally carved in stone. It's the story of the Heliodorus pillar, and honestly, it completely shatters a lot of the assumptions we tend to make about early globalization. We're talking about a diplomat who crossed empires on official state business, only to experience this massive identity shift and leave behind a monument that still has historians talking. So let's jump right into it. Right off the bat, we're hit with a major historical contradiction. Why on earth would a Greek political envoy, someone representing a completely different culture, a completely different belief system, go out of his way to construct a Hindu religious monument? I mean, think about it. You have this political figure sent by a foreign king to handle official government business, and suddenly he's erecting a sacred pillar to a foreign god. It doesn't exactly fit the standard diplomatic playbook, right? To figure out how he bridged that cognitive gap, we have to go straight to the primary evidence. And the primary evidence is the Heliodorus pillar itself. It's standing right now in modern-day Vidisha, India, and it's well over 2,000 years old. Now, this isn't just a cool piece of ancient stonework. It is literally a key to unlocking the secrets of ancient globalization. It's like international history perfectly frozen in time. But to really grasp why it's so significant, we need to take a quick step back and look at the world this pillar was actually born into. So, let's set the stage. It's the 2nd century BCE. And the geopolitical vibe is pretty tense. Over in the northwest, you've got the Indo-Greek kingdom, ruled by King Antialcidas, which is essentially this fascinating remnant of Alexander the Great's massive military campaigns. Then, on the other side, you have the immensely powerful Shunga dynasty under King Bhagabhadra, controlling vast, highly strategic regions of northern India. These are two massive, very distinct ancient powers that are trying to navigate a shared and incredibly complex border. And caught right in the middle of these two heavyweights is our guy, Heliodorus. Now, he wasn't just some ancient backpacker passing through. He was an official ambassador dispatched directly by the Greek king to the Shunga court. Back then, kingdoms relied heavily on high-stakes diplomacy, and Heliodorus had a very heavy, almost corporate-style agenda. His mission was to establish peace, strengthen their alliances, hammer out lucrative trade relations, and, naturally, exchange intelligence. He was literally meant to be a human bridge between Greece and India. But just getting to that royal court, that was a monumental task all on its own. How exactly does a Greek ambassador cross the ancient world to reach central India in the 2nd century BCE? I mean, sure, maritime routes existed, but an official envoy heading inland would have had to do it by land. And while Heliodorus didn't leave us a convenient little travel diary, historians have been able to reconstruct what must have been a totally grueling path. The scale of this journey is just staggering. Starting out in Greek territories, he would have moved through Bactria in Central Asia, and then he'd have to face the absolutely daunting icy passes of the Hindu Kush Mountains. If he survived that, the route took him down into Gandhara, right through the bustling educational hub of Taxila. And finally, he'd have to trek all the way across the vast Punjab plains before arriving at Vidisha, smack in the heart of Shunga territory. We are talking about an arduous, massive ancient highway. To really appreciate the uniqueness of Heliodorus, it helps to compare him to another super famous Greek traveler, Megasthenes. You might know Megasthenes because he left behind Indica, which is this massive, detailed book all about Mauryan India. Heliodorus, on the other hand, he left absolutely zero books. No travelogues, no personal scrolls, nothing. His entire footprint in the historical record is carved into one single stone monument. And that specific monument is historically known as the Garuda Dvaja. Originally, this stone pillar was actually topped by a carved figure of Garuda, the legendary bird creature and the vehicle of the Hindu deity Vishnu. Just let that sink in for a second. An official Greek diplomat operating on behalf of a Hellenistic king personally commissioned a highly specific, deeply significant Indian religious structure. And when you break down the hard archaeological facts inscribed on the stone, you see just how deep this integration really went. The script he used? It wasn't Greek, it was Brahmi. The language? Also not Greek. He used Prakrit, the local dialect, and the dedication was explicitly made to Lord Vasudeva. Heliodorus didn't come in and try to impose his own culture. He respectfully and entirely utilized the local framework to make his statement. But here is the real dramatic reveal, translated directly from the stone itself. It says, "A Greek foreign ambassador accepted devotion towards Vasudeva and described himself as a Bhagavata." This right here is the absolute core takeaway of this explainer. Heliodorus was not just observing the local religion, like some detached, objective diplomat. He actively embraced it. He went through a profound internal shift, going from a political operative to a fully dedicated spiritual practitioner. So what does that identity actually mean? Well, a Bhagavata is an early devotee of the Vishnu or Vasudeva tradition, which is closely connected to the worship of Krishna. Now, for a guy from the Hellenistic world, a world that already had its own incredibly rich pantheon of Greek gods, to publicly adopt this highly specific Indian religious identity, that marks one of the absolute earliest known instances in history of a foreigner formally converting to the Vaishnava tradition. It's just wild. And the thing is, he didn't just casually adopt a title. He truly internalized the philosophy. The inscription actually lists 3 specific ethical teachings: self-control, charity, and awareness of the eternal. These are foundational early Vaishnava virtues. By having these etched into a massive public monument, Heliodorus was broadcasting the philosophical depth of his transformation. He wasn't just visiting, he was genuinely living the values he discovered in India. Honestly, when you look at the context, it's easy to understand why he was so captivated. The India that Heliodorus witnessed was not some simplistic frontier. It was a highly sophisticated, booming civilization. On his journey, he passed through deeply organized urban centers, walked by internationally respected learning hubs like Taxila, and saw a society that was sustained by vast agriculture, guarded by massive armies, and entirely connected by complex trade routes. It was an intellectual powerhouse, and it naturally inspired foreign minds. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Why does this one pillar matter so much today? Well, even though we have to critically acknowledge that this is just one single surviving inscription, the facts it presents are undeniable. This pillar is hard proof of active diplomatic relations between the Greeks and Indians. It gives us some of the very earliest evidence of Vaishnavism. It highlights a really beautiful period of religious tolerance, and above all, it proves that cultural globalization, the sharing of ideas across borders, is a concept that is literally over 2 millennia old.
Which brings us to a final thought to wrap up this explainer. If an ancient Greek diplomat could travel thousands of miles, step out of his comfort zone, and so deeply embrace foreign traditions 2,000 years ago, what can we learn from his pillar today? The Heliodorus pillar is this incredible reminder that civilizations don't just grow through conquest and war. They grow through dialogue, through sheer curiosity, and through the peaceful exchange of ideas. Thank you so much for joining me for this one. Keep exploring, stay curious, and always look for the stories carved in the stones of history.